Hey, hello. In case you hadn't heard, it is a Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday. Everybody's been out doing all their sinning so that they can get all holy tomorrow. Hashtag bad theology. But because it is Mardi Gras, we are making some Mardi Gras food tonight. John requested some jambalaya, so I'm making jambalaya. I don't know if I've done this before, making jambalaya here, but we're going to do it again. And I was going to have everything prepped, but I ran out of time, so, you know, can't do that. But we will get this party started. So, you can kind of see over here all of my hodgepodge of foods that I'm going to cook. And I actually have two cutting boards because I have to do raw chicken first, and that's why we have dishwashers. Hi, Shirley! How are you? Alright, this is... Wow, they give me a lot of chicken at the store. This is the one downfall of Instacart. Sometimes you get a lot of stuff. Okay, so we only need one chicken breast because otherwise this is going to be so much food. We're not going to even know what to do. So I'm just going to take some of these trimmings off this chicken because we don't need all that fat. I'm going to go ahead and get my Instapot on saute. Yes, Michael, you got it. Yes, we have the Instapot on saute, and that's going to be heating up. Let me know if the Mardi Gras music in the back is a little too much, and I'll wait until my hands are no longer stuck in chicken and turn it off. So I'm just trimming off the gross parts of the chicken, because sometimes even when you get it like hand trimmed, which this supposedly is from Ralph's, they don't do a great job. And there's all the grody parts, like the extra little bits of fat, and like you gotta watch it for bones, like cartilage type things, not bones. Well, actually sometimes bones. But okay, so I'm taking ye olde chicken breast, and I am cutting it up into roughly 1-inch cubes. It's important to preheat the Instant Pot because then stuff doesn't stick as badly, and you don't want things to stick. As Alton Brown would put it, that's not good eats. So we've got, you know, decent sized pieces like that. And we're doing chicken and andouille because John requested chicken and andouille. So we have a lot of meat already going into this, and I'm not going to bother, doing too much chicken because it will be so much. Some of these are pretty big dices. This was a double D chicken, as it were. So this is a pretty good size chicken breast here. And all right, so let me wash up the grodies. Meanwhile, you can look at my dirty kitchen. How's this camera angle working? I'm trying different things with my cinematography. So I have a like weird little, they call it a monkey grip, like tripod thing that's in my cabinets, and so I'm trying that out. Okay, this doesn't say hot yet. The Instant Pot will say hot, and it's not there yet. So we're just gonna hang out for a second. But what I will do is I will bust out some of the Paul Prudhomme Magic. We love this stuff. It's amazing. Super good. We actually finally made our way through the meat magic, and all we have left is chicken magic. So I'm going to season the chicken with a little bit of this while we wait. Meanwhile, I'm going to wash this knife. Fun fact about this song, I don't know if you guys can hear it, it's Working in a Coal Mine. Great song. But many years ago, in a past life, when I worked in human resources, worked for a company, had a lot of musicians that worked in our company, and we did a client retention dinner, a client appreciation dinner, and we all got together and sang this song as a band. Like, we created a band and we did this song for the client retention dinner. All right, we say, the Instant Pot says that it is hot, so a little bit of olive oil is gonna go in that pan, and I'm gonna readjust this so y'all can see. There we go, a little bit better. You don't need to see me, you need to see the cooking. So we've got olive oil in there, it's heating up. And I'm gonna grab a spatula because spatulas are awesome. All right, and that is heating up nicely. So, ooh, you can hear that nice little sizzle. We're just gonna sit that chicken in there and let it brown up. Make sure everybody is touching the pan. I'm gonna let that go. Meanwhile, I'm gonna start chopping some veggies. So we're gonna be using the Trinity, which is celery, onion, and green pepper. It's kind of like what we would use in sort of traditional American food, basically white people food, with onions, carrots, celery. The southern version of that is the Trinity, which is celery, onion, and bell pepper. So I'm just going to give these, I like to sneak off my board here. I'm just going to give these kind of a a rustic dice. Okay, one more. Okay, and since we're not ready for it yet, I'm just going to toss all of them into this bowl. It's always fun to throw a little bit of music on while you're cooking, especially something like this where you get to cook, like, you know, a themed dinner. So, bell pepper. This is just regular old green bell pepper. And fun fact, at Kroger, for some reason, they only have like the organic ones available sometimes, but they're the same price as the non-organic ones. So there you go. So we're just going to dismantle this. When the saints go marching. It's so funny, I never hear when the saints go marching in except at Mardi Gras, and except that every single one of my piano students plays it. So I do hear it quite a bit. You'll notice that I'm doing fairly decent dice sizes on these, because why not? It's a rustic dish, and I'm lazy and don't want to cook anymore. Alright. Now you notice that this little bit of a vein was still left in there, so we're just going to 86 that bad boy, because nobody wants that. He's not tasty. It's not like it's bad, it's not the end of the world if you leave it in, but it's just a little pithy to me. It doesn't have all that good flavor, and it can get a little bitter if you overcook it a little bit. So, why would we do that when we cannot, and everything is better? Okay. That goes in there. That goes in there. That goes in there. Brown up chickens. You just want to get the chicken pieces kind of browned on the edges and like just a little bit starting the cooking process for funsies. Alright. And then the final is an onion. I always use a sweet onion just because, I don't know, I can tolerate them more. Oh, this guy's got a little some green in the middle. Fun, fun, fun. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of onions. I like them when they're cooked. If they're raw, no thank you. No thank you. But if they are cooked, I really like them. But I really like the sweet onions just because I feel like they're less intense than a traditional onion. I feel like a plain white onion or yellow onion kind of grabs you by the throat and slaps you around a little bit. And maybe that's a thing that you enjoy. For me, not so much. So I like the sweet onions. I exclusively purchase sweet onions unless I need a red onion for something. Generally speaking, the only time that will happen is if I am making like French onion soup and I need a couple different varieties of onion. Then I will do that. Alright, come on. Ooh! Something fell out of my cupboard. It was traumatic. Not really. Okay. And this onion is kind of a funky onion. I had part of it that's paper and part of it that's not. So we're just going to 86 degrees apart. Okay. Alright, and here's my magic onion dicing trick. Once you have your onion peeled, okay, take you over there. Once you have your onion peeled, then cut through the root like that in half. So you have half the root like that. Then you're going to come through, this one's got a lot of green in it, okay, that's alright, we'll pick it up. So you're going to slice through it this way, okay, you're going to come through like this way, and you're going to make like 2 slices like so. And I'm sorry I'm doing it backwards, but it's the only way that I can do it for my brain. Then you're going to make slices vertically like this. So vertically here, 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 here. But I always come down like this, okay, on the top. You don't want to cut all the way through to the root because that defeats the purpose. Okay, and then we're going to do one final chop this way. And fun fact, you will have your onions already diced. There you go. You got to look close to the root there. Okay. In that goes. How are we doing? Oh, we're good. Ooh. We're good, we're good. Got a little bit of oil in there. So I'm going to go ahead and dump these guys in. Let that party commence. I'll get the other side of this onion. Okay. And again, we're not going for like super fine dice. A little bit of a dice is fine. Nothing crazy. In you go. Alright. And we're going to stir everybody up. And let those get happy. The other thing that I tend to do when I cook is I season in stages. So I season to the chicken, and I'm just going to season a little bit more of that. Then we have some Adele's Cajun style andouille. This is like the only andouille that I can find that's decent out here. Good news is, it's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to pull out the andouille. And come on out. Now the andouille, I keep going back and forth on how I like to cook it inside this dish because I feel like if you leave it in there too long, sometimes it gets a little tough. So I'm going to counteract that by doing fairly big slices, like big old chunks of andouille, because I'm hoping that that will keep the toughness at bay. And here's the other thing that I'm going to do. You can see kind of in this pan how I've got a layer of the chicken and the veggies and all that stuff. So I'm going to dump the andouille in on top, and I won't stir this again because, well, I won't deeply stir it. I'll have to stir it a little bit because we're going to add some liquid in, and that's got to get all the way through. Otherwise, I feel like we're gonna try this and see if this keeps the shenanigans at bay for the toughness of that andouille sausage, which I don't care for. Okay, we've got our meats, we've got our veggies, we've got our seasoning, a little bit of it started. Here comes the next thing. This is canned whole peeled tomatoes, and looks like that. Ta-da! Super fancy. You can use diced tomatoes in this too. I just like the whole peeled tomatoes. And you gotta be careful in this because I usually just crush them by hand in here. However, I have had to clean my kitchen curtains several times because the tomatoes splatter in fascinating ways. Okay, so we're just hand crushing these tomatoes over top. This is the cheater method. I've made, what have I made? I've made the Emerald Lagasse, like legit jambalaya before, and it's amazing. If you've got the Emerald, I think it's 30-60-90 cookbook, it's really, really good. I encourage you to make it. It's fantastic. It will make enough to feed 5,000 people. That is the only thing. You will eat for months off of that. We made it when we were first married. I made it when we were in our first apartment over Christmas time. Well, just about Christmas time. Over, or should I say, Star Wars Episode 7 release time. And we had some friends over, and I'd made it earlier in that week, but we had so much left over. John and I had eaten it for dinner. We'd eaten it for lunch that day. We ate it for dinner along with 4 other friends who came over and ate with us, and we still had leftovers. It made a lot. But it's a really good recipe. This, however, is not that recipe. This is just something that I've concocted. I found a Pinterest recipe once upon a time for Cajun chicken and rice. And this is essentially that, but I do it in the Instant Pot because I love it. I love how it comes out with the texture. Okay, so all of the tomatoes are now in here. I'm going to pour in the sauce from the can, and then rinse my hand off because it looks like an episode of Dexter. Okay, so now I will kind of spread this around just a little bit. I'm not going to stir the andouille up in it, but there we go. Next, we are going to do, the one thing that's kind of funky about using rice in an Instant Pot is your normal ratio would be 2 to 1, right? So 2 cups of water for every 1 cup of rice. In an Instant Pot, you want to have equal amounts of water. But I find that in this dish I need a little bit more. However, there is a little bit of liquid in here because of the tomato. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use 2 cups of rice in this. So I'm going to use a little more than 2 cups of the chicken stock, which I really, or the chicken broth rather. I usually get chicken stock, but I forgot this time. So I'm just going to measure it like a nerd and do an eyeball version, because that's how we do. That feels like half. We'll give a little bit extra for good measure. Okay, and then, let me do that. You'll notice that those andouille are floating nice on top. And here is the next thing that I'm going to do, because here is the other problem that I tend to have in an Instant Pot. We'll throw a little bit more seasoning in there, because you can never have too much. Well, maybe a little too much, but not that much too much. That's that Paul Prudhomme vegetable magic. It's, or excuse me, chicken magic. Poultry magic, I should say. We don't differentiate on the poultry. So there's the seasoning, there's that. Here's my rice. I think there's a cup left in this bag, which we'll find out in a moment. Oh, there might be 2. is 1 cup of rice. And basically 1 cup of rice in that. And never fear, we have a new 5-pound bag. Okay. Cut here to open. Okay. I'm gonna slice that up. Open this up. Come on. I'm like afraid to open it because it's gonna be like pouring out 15,000 gallons of rice. We're just gonna do this because there's no way to do this otherwise. All right. Cup number 2. All right, cup number 2. Okie dokie. Make sure we seal this because it will not be the good times rolling if I spill rice all over my cupboard. That is less of a good times roll scenario. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna make sure my rice is submerged, but I'm not gonna stir it up because I don't want it to touch the bottom. I'm trying to avoid it getting to the bottom. I almost always have problems where the rice kind of really, really loves the bottom of my Instant Pot and never really does well otherwise. So we've submerged it, but we're not letting it get to the bottom unless maybe a few here and there do. And I'm gonna try this out and see if that helps things along. All right, lastly, can it be Southern food if there's no Tabasco in it? I don't think so. So we are going to generously dab in some Tabasco. So we've got chicken, seasoned chicken that we've cooked in there. We've got the Trinity, onion, bell pepper, and celery. We've got tomato. We've got chicken broth. We've got andouille sausage. We've got rice. We've got Tabasco. We've got the lovely Paul Prudhomme Magic. And you know what? Just a little more for good time's sake. And I think that's it. So we're gonna pop the lid back on. Make sure that we are in sealed position. I don't know if you can tell right there. This is in sealed position, not steam or vent, rather. We're gonna turn this off, okay? And then we're gonna go back over here to rice. You'll notice that that's at 10 minutes. That's a perfect time. And we're gonna let this come to pressure and then do its thing. And then in probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe, it'll be at pressure and then it'll go. Now jambalaya would usually take a long time, but this is gonna take a lot less time and have all that flavor. It's gonna make everything go, and that rice is gonna absorb all that good stuff. One of the reasons that you'll notice I left it on saute that whole time, didn't take it off saute, was because then it heats my liquid up, gives it the chance to kind of warm up, get a little happy before I ask it to try to boil. So how the Instant Pot works, it's a pressure cooker, right? So as the water comes to a boil, it gives off steam, which then builds in that pressure chamber, and when it reaches a certain point, it pops up this little float on the top of the pressure cooker, and when that pops up, it seals, and then it can come to pressure, right? And cook all that food under high pressure, kind of like if you were up in the mountains and whatnot. So it's gonna come to pressure after the water boils. There's a lot of liquid in there, it's a good amount of stuff, so it's gonna take a minute for it to come to pressure. I would say 15 minutes or so, and then it'll be another 10 minutes of cook time, and then we will do a manual release, which means that I take this little vent here and I flip it over to the side and it goes psh, right? It's not going to bust anything right now, so I'm just going to flip it over to the side, steam. Okay, we're going to make sure it's always in sealed mode. If you have a problem with your pressure cooker not coming to pressure, it means that there's a problem with your seal, most likely. Whoop! My little camera thing is starting to not work anymore, but that's okay. It was a janky setup anyways. So, that's jambalaya for Mardi Gras. I know that the phrase is like laissez something bon temps something. I don't remember what it is, but let the good times roll, y'all. And tomorrow starts Lent. season of giving things up so that we identify with the sufferings of Christ and remind ourselves all that he did for us. And so we give something up to identify with that. If you're a Lent type person, I wish you a good journey in the next 40 days. And I hope that it actually like settles deep into your heart, not just Filet-O-Fish Friday. Although for me, I'm very excited about Filet-O-Fish Friday because it's cheap this time of year, and that makes me one happy girl. Happy Lent, happy Mardi Gras that Tuesday, and see you next time. Bye, guys.